I stared at a wall every day for 30 days. And the weirdest part is, it made my phone feel disgusting. I mean, not literally, I still use my phone. I did not become a monk, but something definitely changed. Before this experiment, every time I sat down to work, my brain felt like it was fighting me. Studying felt boring, writing felt painful, and reading felt almost impossible. Every time I tried to focus, my hand would somehow magically find my phone. I would tell myself, let me just check this message real quick. And then suddenly, 47 minutes later, I have done nothing. So for 30 days, I tried the most extreme focus experiment I could think of. Just me and my wall. And in this video, I want to explain why this stupid habit actually made so much sense and how this can help you do hard things. So here's the problem. Most people think that they can go straight from high stimulation into deep work. They wake up and check their phone, and then they sit down in front of the textbook and ask themselves, why can't I focus? But the issue is not that you're lazy. The issue is that your brain has been living in a completely different stimulation environment. On one side, you have reels, notifications, musics, and on the other side, you have your boring textbook. So of course the textbook compared to that is gonna feel boring. Your brain has literally just spent the last hour getting stimulated every single second. So this is the first important idea. Your brain does not judge how stimulating something is in isolation. It judges it by comparison. So if you scroll for 45 minutes and then try to study, studying feels painfully boring. But if you stare at a wall for 10 minutes and then try to study, the exact same task feels more stimulating. Not because the task changed, but because the baseline changed. This is the entire idea behind the experiment. The wall is not sort of a magic pill, it's a reset point. Now, before we go any further, we need to talk about dopamine, because the internet has absolutely fallen in love with this word. People talk about dopamine like it's some toxic chemical you need to remove from your body. But dopamine is not a toxin. You cannot detox dopamine. Your brain is making dopamine right now. If your brain stopped using dopamine, you would not become productive. You would have a very serious neurological problem. So the point is not to remove dopamine. The point is to understand what your dopamine system is responding to. Dopamine is involved in motivation, learning, movement, attention. And one of the most important ideas is something called reward prediction error. This sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Your brain is constantly asking, what did I expect to happen? And what actually happened? So if something is better than expected, your dopamine system responds strongly. If something is exactly as expected, the response is smaller. If something is worse than expected, the signal can drop. When you scroll short form content, every single swipe feels like gambling. And this is where staring at a wall becomes interesting, because a wall gives you no novelty. It doesn't give you an emotional spike. Nothing happens. So you're taking your brain out of that casino environment and putting it in an entire new environment. Now let's talk about a brain network that most productivity videos completely ignore. The salience network. The salience network helps your brain decide what matters. Think of it as attention security guard in your brain. Its job is to look at everything happening around you and ask, is this actually important? The salience network includes areas like the anterior insula and the anterior cingulate cortex. You don't need to memorize these names, but you need to understand the function. This network helps switch your brain toward things that seem relevant, things that seem urgent or rewarding. And modern apps are basically injured to scream at this system. So your phone is constantly telling your brain, like, this matters, this matters, this matters. And if you want to sit down to study, your brain says, you know what? This is not actually important. So studying is not only hard because it feels boring. It's because that the attention system has been trained to focus on the loudest things in the room. And when you stare at a wall, there is nothing screaming for your attention. So for once, your salience network get to chill. On my first day of doing this, the weirdest part was how uncomfortable it felt. It wasn't like painful, but it was just uncomfortable. My brain wanted something to do, and that made me think of something. Many of us are not actually resting when we say that we are resting. We're switching stimulation sources. Like when we finish studying, we open up Instagram or Netflix or do something that we might feel can make us feel more rested. And this actually might end up harming you more than it can benefit you. So if you want to actually reward your brain and make it crave hard work, start with doing something as little as looking at the wall for 5 minutes a day. And if you keep a consistent schedule, if you keep doing that every single day, I promise you will notice a huge difference in just a couple of days. That's it for today's video. Subscribe.